Okay, we are going to work on performing a series of transformations, which means we might do a translation, and then we might rotate, and then we might reflect, right? We're going to kind of just do multiple transformations on one image. So before we get into that, we're going to talk about congruent and similar figures. This will play a bigger part when we get into dilations, but just a little heads up before we get there. Congruent figures are two polygons that are congruent when they have the same size and shape. Okay, so all their angles stay equal, all their side lengths stay equal. The shape is the exact same. Congruent is basically a fancy name for equal or the same. Similar figures look like they have the same shape, but their size is different. Okay, so this happens when we get dilations. But series of transformations, in this video we're going to just have the translations, rotations, and reflections, which don't change the size. So everything today we're working with is going to have congruent figures. But once we add in dilations and then do series, those figures are then just going to be similar. Okay, so a series of transformations is performed one after another from the image of previous transformations. So let's look at an example here. So perform the series of transformations to triangle ABC, which is drawn over here on the right. So we have three that we're going to do, and we do them in order. So first I need to reflect across the x-axis. So this B comes up 3, so across the x-axis, this becomes my B prime. A is 5, A prime, C is 5, C prime. So these were A, B, C primes after that first one. Okay, second one, we are going from this first prime image. So this image is going to be translated to the left 2 and down 6. So to the left 2, 1, 2, down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, from that pink image, our double prime image, we now are going to reflect across the y-axis. So here's my y-axis. A is 1 away, so this is now A triple prime. B is 3 away. So B triple prime, C triple prime. Now I don't know if you've noticed, some of the last couple times I haven't counted that last point. I very clearly know the shape of this triangle. So once I got A and B, I kind of know where C is. But feel free to count and double check. So that is your final image. Later in the video, I may give you this first one and the last one, and you have to figure out what happened to get this pre-image triangle to the final image triangle. So here I'm giving you them, and you're going to perform them. Later you're going to try to guess what was already performed. So I think you can go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause that video. So first I need to rotate 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. Okay, so I see this 2 by 3 square, so clockwise. Shows me G prime, it's right there. F prime. E prime, and H prime. So just a heads up on grading for like a quiz or a test coming up. This would be a multiple point problem. So I'm going to follow your steps. If you get this first one wrong, you would only lose points for that step. I'm then going to follow and see if you reflect this image correctly. So just because you get one part wrong doesn't mean you'd lose your entire points. Also, I make sure you are labeling your figure correctly. Okay, so if we had E and H switched around, you would lose points for wrong labels. So now I need to reflect across the x-axis. So this is going to get a little messy because this is going to come back down where we were. This is my x-axis here. So G double prime, F double prime, E double prime, H double prime. So this reflection here, because we're dealing with just a rectangle, is where some people on their quiz or test want to kind of switch these because they just want to slide this down. But remember, you flipped it. Okay, so your labels flip also. And last one is to translate to the right 3 and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To the right 3, up 5. H triple prime. Okay, so same thing. I think you would probably give this one a try too. The only thing that's different in this one is, notice instead of using words to tell you what to do, I used rules. Okay, we do not learn rules for rotations in 8th grade. You will in geometry. There are just a lot of them, and they're kind of complex. So we just stick to, I'll tell you how to rotate with words. So pause, give this one a try if you feel like you can. So this is a reflection rule. So Y is staying the same, X is changing. So this is a reflection across the Y axis. So remember that this just tells us to reflect across the Y axis, so we're changing our X values. So this K comes over here, K prime, H prime, J prime, I prime. Make sure you flip those coordinates also. Ooh. Okay, this tells me to X left to the 4, right? X is left or right. Y is up or down. The subtraction tells me to go down 6. So to the left 2, 1, 2, down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's K double prime. H double prime, I double prime, J double prime. So we're just sliding, so that image pretty much stays the same, so I can just knew how to draw that image. You can count every point if you want. Last one is to rotate 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. So I thought about going to J, but I'm going to make this long rectangle to K. There, just that's visually what I see better. So 90 degrees clockwise, it's a 1/4 rectangle. So that helps me figure out that K is going to be right here. So if I'm swinging this, it goes down 3. So K triple prime, H triple prime. Now, in the past, I've had a lot of people rotate the wrong way and have this flipped. Okay, this is still going out this way. J triple prime, I triple prime. And that's your final image there. So I've got 4 steps for you here. A series can be as short as 2 and as long as we want it to be. So pause the video and give this one a try. All rules here, which means there are no rotations. So plus here tells us to go to the right 6, subtract for the y, down 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. That's z prime, x prime, y prime. Okay, so that one's done. Then this is a reflection rule. X stays the same, which means it's a reflection over the x-axis. So I got to flip this down. Really, the only point we have to reflect here is the y, because these two are already on my x-axis. So x double prime, z double prime. So that one's done. Then we go to the right 1, down 2, to the right 1, down 2, to the right 1, down 2, to the right 1, down 2. So z triple prime, y triple prime, x triple prime. And the last one is another reflection. Y stays the same, so that's over the y-axis, right? If I'm going straight across, that y-coordinate's not changing. Again, this one's nice and easy. It's on my y-axis, so I only have to reflect this point z. Four prime. There we go. So, like I said towards the beginning of the video, we are going to now try to figure out the series. So, if I'm looking at this, I can at least tell by my labels that it's flipped. So I know I at least have to have a reflection in here. But when I look at this, my G and G prime are not the same distance away from this y-axis. So I didn't just reflect over the y-axis, I also probably have a translation in there. So there's more than one way to write a series. Oftentimes there's not just one that could have been performed. So as long as yours kind of checks out and makes sense, you should be good. So, and make sure you're always telling me to go from the pre-image to the image. If you go backwards, you're going to lose points there. So the first thing I noticed was a reflection. So that's what I'm going to choose to do first. I'm going to reflect over the y-axis. Okay, so you can use words, or if you want to write the rule, you can do that as well. So if I reflect this, G, E, and F would put me here, which obviously is not where my final image is. So then we need to translate, it looks like just 2 to the left. And we would end up where we are. So if I were to go do something else here, I could have translated first, which I would then be going 2 units to the right, because that would put me here. And then reflect. Okay, so like I said, there's more than one way to write these that still will work out. So let's do another one. So this is our starting image. There was a rotation at some point. So one of the things to think about is we can rotate around the origin or around a point. So whichever one you think is easier. So I can see this rotation here. If I was looking around the origin, I can see this 1 by 2 square, 1 by 2 square. So I could kind of translate this down and then do my rotation. Or if you like your points, like I could line up my D's and then rotate on that figure. Okay, I can see around the origin a little bit better, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to translate the image, translate down 2 units, because then I am here. This is my A and my B. We got to make sure all of our letters line up, and then I'm going to rotate clockwise 90 degrees around the origin. So people lose points when they tell me to rotate. There are 3 things you always have to tell me. Around what point, so the origin or a point on the figure, how far, and the direction. So remember, always 3 things when you're rotating. You got to tell me in your directions here. Otherwise, when I'm trying to follow your steps on a quiz or test, if you don't tell me everything, I can't perform that operation to see if your series is correct. Okay, so like I said, that's one way. The other way is that maybe I'm going to, and let's use our rules this time just for funsies. I wanted this point here to go to the left 3 and down, or sorry, to the right 3 and down 3. So to the right 3, down 3. It's going to put me here. And then I would rotate that clockwise again, 90 degrees again, but around point D. So there are other ways, many other ways to do this one as well. I just kind of like to show you a couple. So let's have you pause and try to figure this one out on your own. So there was at least one reflection at some point in time. So I'm just going to reflect. Remember, we start here, right? The one without the primes. I'm going to start with what I see first. Reflect over the x-axis. Okay, and then I'm actually going to do that to see where I'm at here. 3, 3, 5, 5. Okay, remember, keep your labels. Because I noticed if I just tried to translate this, my E and G aren't going to line up. So I have another reflection. So I see that, so I'm going to do that over the now y-axis. So I know I'm going a little fast here. G, 4. Okay, so now if I just translate that down, it'll line up. So translate down 2 units. Okay, so that's just one example. You could have also done like reflection over the y, then the x, and then translate. You could translate first. So, I mean, those can be switched around a little bit, but they still would have to make it line up perfectly. So be careful when listing these out. Last one. Pause the video, give it a try. So first thing I see is there has been a rotation. So to get A and B to line up, it looks like I'm going counterclockwise. And this would be, I'm just going to start with 90 and see where I'm at. And I'm going to do around the origin, because I personally like those ones better. So let's see where I'm at once I do this. So there's my square, so that puts B here. C is 4 long. Okay. B, C, D, and A. So now I'm just going to translate that because then everything will line up. A, B, C, and D. Translate to the right one. I really should have used the rule here. And then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. That's just one example.